Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull, and it is day 2 of game prep in game week. So we'll be taking a look at UT Chattanooga's defense and also talking about my expectations from our offense coming up this Saturday. As always, y'all, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Really big shout out to all the members of this channel, all the members of our Patreon, and everyone that is donating to this channel. We are inviting y'all to join us on Saturdays on the pregame or a postgame show or several of them. If you want to get signed up, for this Saturday's pre or post game show, just make sure that you are getting signed up as quickly as possible because the slots could run out. Also, the official deadline is going to be Thursday at 8 p.m. So you have to get signed up by then if you would like to join us. And if you don't know how to get signed up, that link will be down in the description below, right next to live stream sign up. It's really easy. It's just, like 4 quick little questions, kind of like fill in the blank type of a deal. It's super easy. So, and it's also free. So just make sure that y'all are doing that if y'all would like to join us. And if you would like to join us moving forward, whether it's this weekend or whatever, you just want to know how can you become eligible. Well, number one, you can be a member of the channel. Okay, that's just one way. And you can be a member of the channel by clicking on the join button just below, or you could be a member of our Patreon. That link will be down in the description below, or you can donate as little as $1 to our Cash App by scanning the QR code with your smartphone. And if you can't do that, that link's also down in the description below. But we just want to send a huge shout out to everybody. Okay, we appreciate all of the support. Again, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Let's go ahead and jump into the video. All right, so let's take a look at UT Chattanooga's defensive stats from last year. For the total defense, they gave up 355.5 yards per game, 5.8 yards per attempt, and 24.54 points per game. Now, for the passing numbers, they gave up 195 yards per game through the air, 6.93 yards per attempt, 1.23 touchdowns, and they got about 0.76 interceptions per game. And that's, it's funny because that's the exact same amount that the offense was throwing. So that's pretty interesting. But now on to the rushing numbers. They give up 160.5 yards per game. That's good for about 4.8 yards per attempt, which is, that's not great. And then they also gave up 1.61 touchdowns per game on the ground. Now, as far as sacks, they were averaging 2.77 sacks per game. Now let's talk about UT Chattanooga's key defensive players, starting off with their leading tackler from last season, Alex Mitchell. He's a linebacker listed at 6'1", 230 pounds. He's a junior. He's number 2 this season. I believe last season he was number 41 or number 31, something like that. But he is the heart and soul of this defense. Take a look at his stats from last season. Again, leading tackler was 78. He had 1 sack, 3 pass breakups, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 interception. Obviously, he's everywhere. And, I've even heard that sometimes whenever their DC calls plays in, if something's off, he can get that right. So he's one that obviously they will be leaning on. I think he's a pretty solid athlete as well. The next player is going to be safety Jordan Walker, listed at 6 feet tall, 199 pounds. He's another junior. He's number 4 on their roster this season. I think last year he was number 28, but he was their second highest tackler from last year with 73. He had 1.5 sacks, 1 pass breakup, and he also had 3 interceptions. I think that he looks good. He's a guy that, I think that he could probably play, power 4 type football, single A football, I would say. For sure. He looks really good. But typically, I don't see him playing too close to the line of scrimmage. He just comes down fast. So, their linebackers are typically, going to play 10, 12, 15, however many yards off of the football. But they're typically playing at a normal safety spot. So, he just comes up quick. I think that he does a really good job of identifying plays. Let's move on to the next player. We're going to go up front to Marlon Taylor. He's 6'2", 317 pounds. He's a senior, number 94 on their roster. Now, last season, he had 30 tackles, 4 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. He does a good job. I think he's pretty twitchy, for a tackle body, especially on that level. But I don't think that he's going to present any problems to us coming up this Saturday. And then they also have Quay Wiggles. That's a funny name. That is his real name. But he's another defensive tackle, listed at 6'3", 293 pounds. He's a senior. He's going to be number 0 on their roster. Last season, he had 25 tackles, 3 sacks, and 3 pass breakups. He's another one. He's going to be twitchy, and I think that their tackles do a really good job of just kind of flowing and making plays, not just, as far as getting after the passer, but I think, just in kind of letting those linebackers roam. I do think that they play very sound fundamental football from top to bottom. We talked about that some yesterday. But the last player that we'll be talking about today is going to be Cameron Brown. He's a linebacker listed at 6'1", 245 pounds. He's a senior. He's number 5 this season. I don't know what his number was last year, but, he just kind of rotated in spurts. But last season, he had 45 tackles, 2 sacks, and 3 interceptions. I'm expecting for him to have a big year. For the Mocs this season, we'll see how they can perform versus this Tennessee offense. All right, now let's talk about how UT Chattanooga's defense matches up versus our offense, and really not even that, But let's talk about how UT Chattanooga's defense can get us ready for NC State's defense next weekend. And I don't think that there's a lot that we can take away from this game versus UT Chattanooga because NC State runs a 3-3-5, which is totally different from the 4-2-5 that UT Chattanooga runs. They are two nickel-based defenses, but I mean, it's just night and day from a schematical perspective. So in this game, what we will see from UT Chattanooga is a lot of cover 3. I've seen some cover 2. I've seen cover 4 and a little bit of man sprinkled in there. But primarily it's going to be cover 3. They will show some man looks on 3rd and long situations, which hopefully we never get into. But if we do, what they like to show is cornerback, slot guy, and safeties kind of all lined up at the same level, and then they'll flip to their zones as soon as the ball is snapped. If we do get that look, it will be good for Nico just to kind of practice on seeing that because he will see some of that throughout the season. Teams are going to try to, disguise and mimic different looks, things like that, just to try to throw him off. But I don't think he's going to have a problem with that. He's got a really high football IQ. So outside of that, just as far as like the blitzes and things like that, they're pretty basic with their blitz packages. I haven't seen a whole lot of blitzes, but the safeties will come sometimes. I haven't really seen a cornerback come, maybe like a slot guy come. Every now and then, linebackers will come every blue moon, but it's just in certain down and distances and situations. We should be very much prepared for it. I would love it if they would get a little bit more exotic with their blitz packages, just so that we have some teaching points for the offensive line and for the running backs in pass protection, going into the NC State week. But I would say that from top to bottom, man, Nico should operate, with a very pristine pocket. He should be on the money. His wide receivers are going to be open, and he should be able to identify them pretty quickly. The ball should be, getting out of his hands, I would say, pretty fast, things like that. As far as with our running backs, I think that they should be able to have several long runs. I mean, we should gash them. I think that our offensive line, again, should do a great job not only in pass protection but also in run in run blocking. They should be able to get to their spots, get up to the second level, and they should look very dominant. But yeah, I mean, I would say that this is a game that it's not going to be very much resistance for our offense. I think that they're pretty much going to score at will. We will try to, I think, see a lot of different bodies and maybe, a few different formations and sets. I already know that the coaching staff will have some sort of a script of what they want to see from Nico. It's going to be like a pitch count. I think that he's probably going to be out of the game by, I would say before the end of the second quarter. He should be up out of there. We'll get in Gastamore. We'll get in Merck. Let those guys get some burn. We might get in some other players too at the quarterback position. But we're also going to try to work in all of our running backs. I think that D. Samp, maybe goes for the first series, then you get him out. Or maybe he goes 2 series, maybe the first one and the second one, or maybe it's the first one and then that third one, right? I don't know how that's going to look, but I think he's going to be on a very, very short pitch count as far as running the football. Probably only gets 3 to 4 carries, if even that many. Maybe it might only be 1 or 2. But we've got to get some other guys in there. I think that Cam Selden might be on a little bit of a longer leash. You want to get him out there and let him get into some game shape for sure. He's also younger, so maybe his pitch count's 5 to 6 carries or maybe 4 to 5 carries, whatever that is. But then guys like Bishop, guys like Keith, guys like Peyton Lewis, they're going to carry the ball, I think, a pretty solid amount, especially, probably the final 2 on our roster. And we could get in some other guys as well just to see, hey, can we trust some of these other guys, like a Hunter Barnes, So I think that it's going to be primarily our running backs will, we're going to run the ball a whole lot. But I think that we will be able to, again, score at will. Got a bold take for y'all because I gave you one yesterday for our defense. I'm going to say that we score, I'm going to go 8 touchdowns on offense, okay? I'm going to say that we score 8 touchdowns, and I think that we will score more rushing than we do passing just because at some point we're going to try not to score, but we still have to run the ball. You still have to kind of run an offense just to stay safe. I think that we will have more on the ground. It's going to be very hard to keep us out of the end zone on the ground. Maybe I can give y'all another bold take. Maybe I can say that Dylan Sampson, Cam Selden, Peyton Lewis, Deshaun Bishop, and Khalifa Keith all get a rushing touchdown. How about that? I think that one's a little bit more bold. So we're going to go with that one, but we'll also keep those other ones as well. But yeah, this is a game that, we're just expecting for our offense to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. Stay healthy, operate with a lot of efficiency at the highest level and just look dominant. You know what I'm saying? As far as the wide receivers goes, I know y'all want to talk about that. I expect for Brazos to have a touchdown for sure. Dante Thornton's probably going to have one. Squirrel White's probably going to have one. Get him out of the game as quickly as possible. Brew, he's another one. Get him out of the game as quickly as possible. But I think that he could also score. I think some of those younger guys like a Mike Matthews should be able to get out and score. I hope that Braylon Staley is healthy. I would love to see him get out there and play some. I'm looking more forward to seeing the younger guys play, right? I want to see what we've got for the future. I want for them to get some experience because 2025, okay, like we're just starting 2024, but 2025, we got to start building for that. We got to start getting that depth right, especially up front. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. But that's how I think it's going to go. I just think that the offense is going to be absolutely dominant. I just do not see UT Chattanooga having anything to stop us. But y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. As always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks. Peace.